The applause was just a buzz in my ears, a low hum under the frantic beat of my own heart. I was 3 steps from the stage, my name still echoing in the auditorium, when a metal chair scraped violently across the floor. My sister, Harper, was standing up, in the middle of 2,000 people. A smug, predatory smile spread across her face. She was about to interrupt my valedictorian speech and turn the single greatest moment of my life into my ultimate humiliation. I watched her take a deep breath, ready to scream her lies. She thought she was about to ruin my graduation. She had no idea I was about to end her career. I took that final step, adjusted the mic, and looked out at the sea of confused faces. "Before I begin," I said, my voice surprisingly steady, "I have a short video to share about the real star of our family." The joke was on her. To really get why my sister would try to burn down my biggest moment, you have to understand our family's solar system. In that system, Harper wasn't just a planet. She was the sun. And me? I was a distant, forgotten moon, only visible when I happened to reflect a little of her light. We grew up in a house where achievements were measured on 2 different scales, hers and mine. Harper was the golden child, a title she wore like her designer clothes. She was charming, endlessly praised, and always excused. A C+ on her report card was a heroic effort against a tough teacher. My A+ got a distracted nod and a quick, "That's nice, honey." I remember in 8th grade she made this lopsided clay pot that my mom called modern art and put right on the mantelpiece. That same year, I won the state science fair for a project that took me 6 months. My trophy ended up in a dusty box in the attic with old Christmas decorations because it clashed with the living room decor. This was just how things were. It was the law of our house. When Harper got a tiny role in the school play, my parents bought out half a row of tickets and threw a cast party. When my debate team won the regional championship, they forgot the date and went to dinner with friends. I learned early on that my accomplishments were inconvenient footnotes in the grand story of Harper's brilliance. The family business just made it all worse. Our parents run a mid-sized architectural firm, Davis & Son, a name that was a running joke since they had 2 daughters. I started working there the summer I turned 16, doing grunt work, filing blueprints, making coffee, organizing samples. Over the years, I learned the software, then accounting, and eventually, my parents trusted me with the company's books and client accounts. I was reliable, meticulous, and completely invisible. Harper, on the other hand, got the title of marketing associate after she dropped out of college. Her job, as far as I could tell, was to go to galas and be the pretty face of the company. She rarely showed up before noon and spent most of her time on social media. But my parents would rave about her innate networking genius. I was the engine, quietly running in the background. She was the shiny hood ornament, contributing nothing. For a long time, I just accepted it. I told myself that being good at my job was its own reward, but being the sun wasn't enough for Harper. She needed to cast a shadow big enough to blot me out completely. The shadow started to fall with small things, almost unnoticeable. And the easiest way for Harper to flex her power was with money. The company's money. It started with an invoice from a vendor I'd never heard of. Elysian Creative. It was just a few $100 for social media consulting. When I showed my dad, he just waved it off. "Oh, that's one of Harper's new initiatives. Expanding our digital footprint. Don't worry about it." I tried to let it go, but my gut was screaming that something was off. I managed our real marketing vendors. I knew all our contacts. This felt shady. A week later, another Elysian Creative invoice appeared, this time for more money. Then came the client entertainment charges on Harper's company card. Bills from fancy restaurants and exclusive clubs, all time-stamped late on weeknights. Supply orders that turned out to be from luxury boutiques. The trickle became a flood. A few $100s a month turned into a few thousand. I felt this cold knot of dread in my stomach. This wasn't just her being sloppy. This was deliberate. When I tried to bring it up again, this time with my mom, she shut me down instantly. "You need to trust your sister," she said, her tone sharp. "She's bringing a fresh perspective. The last thing she needs is you micromanaging her." That's when it hit me. I was completely on my own. My parents weren't just blind, they were willfully ignorant. They were her accomplices. So, I started my own secret investigation. I created a password-protected ledger on my personal laptop where I documented everything. I started taking screenshots of the sketchy invoices and bank statements. I recorded the dates, the amounts, the vendors. I was building a silent, damning case file, one entry at a time. As my secret file grew, Harper's attacks got more personal. It was like she could sense I was watching her and needed to put me back in my place. 2 weeks before my final exams, my laptop suddenly crashed. My final paper for my advanced economics class, worth 40% of my grade, was gone. I had a full-blown panic attack before remembering I'd saved the backup to the cloud. When I told my family, Harper laid the sympathy on thick. "Oh no, that's awful," she said, but her eyes were glinting with satisfaction. "You've been so stressed. Maybe you're overwhelmed." She was building a narrative that my success was a fluke, and my failure was just a matter of time. The final straw wasn't about the money. It was about her trying to steal the future I had built for myself, far away from her shadow. The day I got the official notification that I was valedictorian, I felt this surge of pure pride that almost made me cry. This was mine. She couldn't touch this. When I told my parents, the reaction was lukewarm. "Oh, that's nice, honey." "Great work," my father said before immediately changing the subject. By the way, Harper just landed a huge new client. A big influencer with a massive following. She's a natural. My heart just sank. Even this, my highest achievement, was just an opening act for her. But something about his comment felt off. Later that night, I logged into the company's financials. I searched for this huge new client. There was no contract, no retainer, but there was a very large payment made to Elysian Creative, that same phantom vendor. This time, it was for 5 figures. On a hunch, I looked up the influencer's name. Her latest post was a gushing review of a new restaurant that, according to the company credit card, Harper had catered a client meeting at just last week, charging thousands. It all clicked. There was no client. Harper had used company money to bribe an influencer for a personal shout-out, then passed it off as a business win. This wasn't just petty theft anymore. This was systematic fraud. She was creating fake vendors and laundering money through sham invoices to fund her lifestyle and fake a career for herself. A cold resolve settled over me. This had to end. But I couldn't just confront them. They'd never believe me. They would choose her. They always chose her. I needed proof so solid it would shatter their delusion. It was an investment in the truth. Using my own savings, I hired a digital forensics expert. I told my parents I was upgrading the company's cybersecurity. A lie that felt bitter, but necessary. A week later, he sent me a report that made my hands tremble. It was all there. A digital paper trail leading from the fake invoices straight to bank accounts in Harper's name. IP logs showing the Elysian Creative website was updated from her personal laptop. It was a quiet, meticulous execution of the truth. My graduation was in 2 weeks. I knew Harper would try something. She couldn't stand seeing me on that stage, in a spotlight that was supposed to be hers. She would try to make a scene, and I'd be ready. And now, here we are, back in that auditorium. The scene from the beginning plays out, but this time, you know what I know. You can see the web of lies holding up my sister's smug smile. As Harper stands, puffing out her chest, to play the wrong sister, I turn to the podium. The mic hums. Before I begin my speech, I say, my voice echoing with a calm I'd practiced for weeks. I'd like to dedicate my success to my family, specifically my sister Harper, whose extracurricular activities gave me the motivation I needed. In fact, I have a short video that explains everything. I give a tiny nod to the tech booth. My best friend Sarah is at the control panel, her hand over the play button. She gives me a thumbs up. The huge screen behind the stage flickers. Harper's face twists in confusion. This isn't her plan. The screen goes black, and then my video begins. The silent, scrolling spreadsheets fill the screen. The calm, robotic voice starts its narration of her theft. On August 3rd, a payment of $4,200 was made to Elysian Creative for promotional materials. A murmur ripples through the crowd. I see my parents in the third row. My father looks confused. My mother looks annoyed, like I'm pulling a prank. Then, the video shows the invoice for a client photo shoot next to an Instagram post from Harper's feed of her and her friends on a yacht in Miami, posted on the exact same day. The murmurs grow louder. My mother's face goes pale. The color drains from my father's. He looks from the screen to Harper, then back, the gears of denial grinding against reality. And Harper, her smug smile is gone. Her face cycles through confusion, to irritation, to dawning horror, and now, pure panic. She opens her mouth to scream that it's all fake. She's lying! It's photoshopped, she screeches, but her voice is drowned out by the narrator calmly detailing the next transaction. The proof is right there for 2,000 people to see. The joke was on her. The video ended. The screen went black. The auditorium was plunged into a deafening silence. For a second, nobody moved, and Harper snapped. With a primal scream of rage, she tried to storm the stage, as if she could physically tear down the truth. Too late. 2 campus security guards, alerted by the dean beforehand, were already moving down the aisle. They intercepted her before she reached the stairs, each taking an arm. She fought and screamed, her perfect image shattering into a million pieces. "You're all blind!" she shrieked as they escorted her out. "She's been lying for years." No one was listening. His entire audience watched as the golden child was dragged out. The heavy doors swung shut behind her, cutting off her cries. Dead silence. I saw my parents, frozen in their seats, their faces masks of shock and shame. They wouldn't look at me. I took a deep, shuddering breath, my body trembling with adrenaline. I turned back to the microphone, my heart pounding. I looked out at the thousands of faces staring back, a mix of pity, awe, and morbid curiosity. I cleared my throat. "Now," I said, my voice shaking only a little for my actual valedictorian speech, and I delivered it. I spoke about integrity. I spoke about the lonely path of truth. I spoke about building a life based on substance, not perception. And when I finished, the auditorium erupted in a standing ovation. Not just for my speech, but for the truth they had all just witnessed. There's a saying I read somewhere: the best revenge is living freely after someone tried to cage you. The fallout was swift and severe. Legal action was unavoidable. Faced with a mountain of evidence, Harper had to admit to the fraud and pay back every cent. She's no longer part of the family business, or, for now, the family. My relationship with my parents is ... complicated. It's strained, but for the first time it's honest. They had to confront years of enabling Harper's behavior. The healing is slow and painful, but at least it's built on truth, not the comfortable lies we lived in before. I didn't take the job they offered me. I couldn't. My academic record opened other doors, far away from that house and its ghosts. I accepted a position at a prestigious architectural firm in another state. I packed my bags, and I left. Seeing my childhood home shrink in the rearview mirror didn't feel like sadness. It felt like freedom. I'm finally living for myself, defined by my own work, no longer just a moon reflecting someone else's light. I'm my own son now. My story had a very public ending, but I know so many of these fights happen in silence. Have you ever had to expose a family member's lies just to get your own peace? Or had to find your voice the hard way when no one would listen? Share your story in the comments. Your voice matters, and I promise I read every single one.